Hi everyone, this is Jillian from Jewish Workshops and AISH Webinars. It is a pleasure to be joining all of you today, and we are extremely privileged to have Sarah Chana Radcliffe on the line. Before we get started, I'd love to see who's joining us and where you're from. So if you can go to your chat box or your question box on the right-hand side of your screen and put your first name and where you're joining us from, I'd love to be able to welcome you. Oh, great. Here we go. Welcome, Chava from Richmond. And Judith, welcome. Sarah from Providence, Rhode Island. Welcome, Esty from Cleveland and Hannah from Lakewood. Devora from Holland. Welcome. Aviva from Brooklyn. Henny from London. Sarah from Israel. Maria from Mexico, welcome. Gila from London, and Tova from Lakewood, Devora from Bermuda, and Ada from Brazil. Welcome Jonathan from London, and Sonia from New York, Chaya from Brooklyn, Chevi from Far Rockaway, Julie from Israel. Welcome Emily from Brooklyn, and Shauna from Canada. Tal from Ottawa, Allison from Canada, Rachel from Montreal. Welcome Sophie from the UK, Martha from North Carolina, Michelle from Toronto, Bleemy from New York, Sandy from Wisconsin, Zahava from Israel, welcome. Rebecca from Brooklyn and Chaya from Brooklyn, Nechama from Lakewood, Simcha from Yerushalayim, Tamar from Chicago, Lara from Jerusalem, Esty from New Jersey, Joanna from Canada, Chavi from Yerushalayim, welcome. Rifki from Muncie, we're happy to have you. Amanda from Passaic, Shani from Cincinnati, welcome. Monica from Great Neck, and Leah from New York, Abe from Montreal, Nisha from India, Chavi from Yerushalayim, and Hannah from Brooklyn. Udi from Switzerland, welcome. This is amazing. People from all over the world continue to flood in here. I just want to see if I can get to a few more. Grace from Toronto, welcome. Malka from Toronto, and Frady from Muncie, Meira from Ottawa, Evelyn from Queens, welcome. Annette from Houston, welcome. Perry from Manhattan, Lawrence from Alberta, Monique from Calgary, Nechama from Israel, Shani from Chicago, welcome. Chana from Brooklyn, Chumi from Israel, Henny from Muncie, Ayala from Arizona, welcome. My goodness, and Catherine from Arizona, and Nechama from Brooklyn. This is truly a worldwide event, and I am so humbled to see so many people from across the world here. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to all. I'm sorry, I could probably be here for the rest of the day welcoming everyone, but a great welcome to you all. We are most likely going to hit capacity with over 2,500 people signed up for today's webinar. Please stick on the line for us. I don't want you to get locked out, or I don't want to, have anything happen. So stick on the line. We've got plenty of things to cover. Over the past 2 years, Sarah Chana has brought her expertise in parenting and relationships, stress management, and anxiety to our Jewish Workshops community. And we have received countless emails and phone calls from our members expressing their heartfelt appreciation and enthusiasm for Sarah Chana's guidance and knowledge. And with that gratitude came request after request to learn more from Sarah Chana and delve deeper into some of today's most difficult issues that plague our lives and our children's in ways we never even knew. So today, Sarah Chana is going to introduce her unique insights and perspective on how to handle low moods of our own and help our children develop the skills they need to handle anxiety, fear, and stress so that they can build emotional resilience. Make sure to stay on the line until the very end to hear about this one-time chance to join Sarah Chana week after week for a full live online program at a special discounted rate just for joining us today. Plus, we had hundreds of questions come in ahead of time, and we'll get to as many live on the line as possible. So please feel free to share your questions in the question box if you didn't have a chance to share them ahead of time, and we will do our best to get to as many as we can. It is truly an honor to be hosting Sarah Chana Radcliffe today. If some of you don't know, she is a registered member of the College of Psychologists of Ontario, and Sarah Chana has been practicing marriage, parenting, and individual counseling for over 40 years. She is a well-sought-after lecturer on stress management, parenting, anger management, and emotional well-being. And Sarah Chana is also the author of Raise Your Kids Without Raising Your Voice, The Fear Fix, and Make Yourself at Home, plus 5 other books on family life and emotional well-being. Sarah Chana, we are so grateful that you are joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone over to you. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm great. Jillian, before we start, I hate to ask you, and hello everybody, and welcome from around the world, never mind. I'm so happy to be able to give this workshop to all of you today and for us to learn together. But I am having just a tiny bit of technical difficulty here just to start. Jillian, if you can just help me with the screen for a second before we get right into it, because I've got your screen blocking mine. So if everybody would hold on patiently, we'll just get that straightened out, and then
Is
okay,
that
we're
working for
getting
you better
somewhere.
now?
Not yet. It was the same problem as we had before a couple minutes ago. I forget what we did to fix that. The webcam sort of taking over my entire screen. So what did we do to fix that?
If you can just minimize it.
Yes, but what did we do to do that on this? We just did something. Do you remember? I know one of us has to remember in a minute so we can get started. So yeah.
Sure.
Oh, I do see it. I see it. I got it. Okay. So I'm a technical wizard. Okay. And this makes me very happy. Okay. All right. I guess if I was a technical wizard, this wouldn't have happened to me. Oh, no, I didn't do it. Hold on a second. Hold on. No, I am not any technical wizard. I'm so sorry. Okay. Not sure. I don't want to have to log out and start this again, but this is a bit of a problem here. Let me just see. Okay. All right. I think we can go with this. Okay. I think we'll do something for this. Okay. All right. So I'm ready if you are, and I'm sorry for that little glitch, but let's get started. Let's get right into it. Today we're talking about managing our moods, which I think all of you know means our low moods. We don't want to manage our happy moods. We want plenty of those, don't we? But when it comes to low moods, we want to minimize how many of those we are actually having. And we want to help our children do the same. And for a good reason, low moods result in certain kinds of feelings, certain kinds of behaviors that seem to be not in anybody's interest. Now, it turns out that that's not quite true. So we're going to look at how moods can actually be helpful to us, even low ones. But first, let's start with understanding that the up and the down of our moods is a perfectly normal movement, okay, that we do not have one static state of being, which is just a happy, blissful, content, wonderful. It's too bad for us, but we don't have that. So what we do sometimes is we have irritable moods or grumpy moods, sad moods, low moods, bad moods. I guess we just sometimes call them bad moods. And how many of these we have depends on quite a lot of factors, like our genetic makeup. Okay, some of us are more prone to those low moods more of the time, and our lifestyle factors, like how much fun we're creating in our lives or have access to, and how much sleep we're getting, and what kind of food we're eating, things like that, which we'll look into a little bit more closely. The available support that is in our lives with our friends, our family, our community. Sometimes we have a ton of support, and sometimes we have very little, and that affects how well we cope with stress, and how well we cope with stress does affect our mood. Our life experiences affect how our mood will be throughout life. So our childhood experiences of trauma, neglect, abuse, this kind of thing, can predispose us to being more moody later on until we get those things sorted out, and could kind of cast a long shadow over our mood in adulthood. So what is mood exactly? We're talking about it like we all have them, we all know, but I've talked very broadly here that sometimes our mood goes down, okay, and we need to look at what that means exactly, because it's normal for everybody to have moods to go down, and then we're going to also kind of examine when it's become abnormal or not okay, So we'll look at that as we go along today. But what is a mood? What's a mood as opposed to an emotion? And if we think about it, we have feelings all day long too, in short bursts. So we hear some good news. So for a couple of minutes, we have a very happy feeling. We do something that's interesting, so we feel excited or content or just in a good space for a few minutes while we're doing that. And then some children are fighting and annoying us, so then we feel annoyed. And these are feelings that we have from moment to moment throughout the day. We're having a zillion of these from the time we get up to the time we go to sleep, and then we have more feelings in our dreams. So what's a mood? So, a mood is not as nuanced as a feeling, actually. So a feeling, like let's say a feeling of anger, in that category, we have a lot of different feelings. We have irritated feelings. We have frustrated feelings. We have annoyed ones, enraged ones, hostile ones, just in that one category, okay, of feelings. And with moods, usually it's kind of like a good mood or a bad mood. It's kind of up or down, high or low if you want, but it's not as nuanced, and it tends to spread across a longer period of time. So instead of just being a little irritated right now with something that might be happening in our moment right in front of us, we have a long number of hours or sometimes days, could be even weeks of a low mood. And we'll, as I said, talk about that a little bit more. So mood operates a little bit differently than feelings, but they do have some things in common. Feelings all have messages for us. Feelings carry information and are guideposts in our lives. So we want to use the information we get from a feeling, and in the same way, we want to use the information we get from a mood. A feeling of happiness, for example, tells us that whatever it is we're doing, it's working for us. Okay, it's good. We want more of that. We want to do this thing is we're on track. Okay, that feeling of happiness, that feeling of flow, tells us that we're moving in the right direction for us. Whereas a feeling of sadness tells us that something's missing, something's off, something's lost perhaps, and needs to be replaced. So feelings of anger tell us that a boundary is being crossed, that we have to straighten something out, that something is wrong and needs to be fixed. Feelings of fear are about vigilance, about being careful because there's the potential for danger. And fear tells us to be careful, to look around, to take stock, to make precautions. Feelings of confusion, which is the fifth category, because here we have happy, sad, mad, scared, and confused. These are the five big categories of feelings. So confused feelings tell us that we need clarity and we need to get something straightened out. So that's the messages that feelings throughout our day will give us. If we listen to them, they force us to listen to them actually, because if we don't hear it just from the emotion itself, eventually, they go into our body and we get our headaches and our stomach aches, and feelings knock at the door and tell us, please attend to something and get this straightened out. And that's kind of how we decide what to do with our day and our lives. We're listening to our feelings all the time. And moods are kind of this more expansive feeling state where the low mood is telling us in a more general way that something in our life is out of balance. Something is, it's missing. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be more of something or less of something. Something needs to be adjusted. If some of the things that we might look at in ourselves or for our child or our teen when we're looking at low mood or a long, steady period of blah, is what is it that's missing? Is it we're not getting enough? Do we need more fun? Do we need more movement, more exercise? Do we need more fresh air, more sunshine? Do we need better nutrients? How about more meaning? Do we need more support? Do we need more friends? Something's missing when we have a steady period of low mood. It's a bigger knocking at that door. It's like begging us to pay attention and to set something right. when we feel the low mood, but we don't ask the question, okay, what is missing? What do you need? We're not asking our inside selves. We're just feeling the low mood, and we feel it, and we feel it some more, and we feel it some more. And we're not asking any questions about it. We're just feeling it. The thing about it is that it's not serving its purpose. And without serving its purpose, it can get stuck. It goes deeper, it lasts longer. Something like we said, feelings that we don't pay attention to may eventually go into the body and become our headaches and our neck aches and our stomach aches and our back aches. And when we try to help ourselves and the pills are no longer being effective and the exercises are no longer working, we still have that pain in the head and the tightness in the neck or the jaw and all these things. Sometimes we'll do some emotional work and we'll have a tremendous release where we get to, oh, this is holding a stuck feeling. The same sort of process happens with the chronic feeling that we're calling a mood, that diffuse low mood that, we can take sometimes we can take various substances of various kinds or do various things that will lift it for a bit. But if it keeps knocking, if it won't go away, it generally means that something is there that we haven't asked into yet. We haven't really dealt with. We need to probe the mood for all the information that it can yield. And in fact, following this introductory webinar, we'll be doing a course that I hope that a lot of you will join us for, which will really show us how to probe into the mood and get more of that information out of it. Right now, I just want us to know that a simple question of what is missing, what do I need, is an excellent beginning for when we're in that state. Now, you might wonder, what about a mood that isn't carrying a message? It doesn't. It's not prompting the question. Can there be a mood that just comes on that is not psychological in its essence, but it's coming from somewhere else, primarily physical? And the answer to that is yes. In fact, a lot of medical conditions can cause low mood, and they're primarily just physical processes in the body. Medications can cause low mood. Substances that we take and ingest can cause low mood. Biological processes, hormones, any kind of physical, biological thing. I'm not a medical doctor, but there's a lot of different things that can cause a low mood. And it's not deep and it's not meaningful and it's not going to our childhood roots. It's just almost like a brokenness, a little brokenness of the mind-body system that's affecting the brains. It could be neurological, chemical. It's having some effect. But even then, which is not, by the way, the cause for the usual and normal low moods that we all have. Like without being particularly broken, we all have moods, and even when we're completely fine, our moods go down for the psychological reasons. And primarily today we're going to be looking at that. But can a child be born in a bad mood? Yes, you may have some kids who are biologically challenged that way. And, can we get low moods just from what our hormones are doing? Well, there's a lot of women on the line today, and I think you know that it's true. I remember when I was nursing my children that there was a phenomenon that I experienced, and I thought maybe I was the only one in the world who had that. I don't even remember I don't think I ever even spoke to anybody about it because I identified it as not particularly meaningful, but it was intense. And that is that when I was nursing my children and the milk was letting down, just in that first moment while the baby latched on, I would feel like my life was over. I would just have this feeling that that's it. There's nothing left to live for. Okay. Now, when your milk lets down, you're supposed to get a wonderful mood. It's supposed to release all sorts of nurturing, wonderful, happy feeling hormones, which actually did kick in, after that first little moment for me. But and I nursed kids for 15 years straight, and it was a constant experience. And what I learned from it about it quite rapidly was that it wasn't associated with anything. Like my life would be fine. I could ask that question all day. Was something, off? It was very particular to this specific physiological process in my body. And I only recently learned that there is such a thing that other people have besides me, and it's got a name and whatever, it's a biological process. But what I knew about it was that it was caused by a switch in what was happening in my body. And that can happen to us through foods we eat, through drugs we take, through weather conditions for some of us, the way our body's interacting with the seasons, as we know. Certainly the hormones wreak havoc with our mood. But it doesn't mean that we wouldn't do anything about it, okay? Like, it's still that there's something missing, but now the brokenness is not in the psychological system. The brokenness is in the physical system, and we may do a little search for what we can do physically. And we'll touch on some of that today as well. But largely for the physical moods, they're going to be a question for your doctor, okay? Now let's look at how we know that low mood is creeping up on ourselves or on our kids. Certain things reflect a low mood in that if you ask yourself the question, is this a sign of happiness? The answer will be no, right? It's a low mood is not always sad, and low mood is not synonymous with depressed. And again, we're going to look at what is depression and all that stuff soon. But right now, we're just looking at normal low mood that is caused primarily from things that need psychological attention. That's going to be the focus here. So irritability is one of the symptoms that our mood is down, because if you think about it, we cannot be happy and irritable in the same moment. And our children who are having their temper tantrums and nothing is ever good enough for them, and they're always feeling dissatisfied, and they always have a problem. A lot of the times what they're dealing with there is low mood, actually. We might think they're crabby or ungrateful or something, but really it's low mood. Now, irritability and that crabbiness is part of the low mood. I'm just pointing out that that's a symptom of not happy. Certainly when we're having temper tantrums, we're not happy, okay? So negative thinking, where we're now projecting a negative future, we don't expect things to work out. We may not be completely despairing or hopeless yet, but we just may feel like this will be difficult, this will be hard, this is not good. There's these people aren't good. For us too, nothing is good enough. Okay, like we feel lacking. We're not feeling pleasure. Okay, we're not getting up and feeling like I am so grateful to be alive. This is a beautiful day. I'm so happy. Like that's happy. Okay, like but here it's like, oh, my house is breaking down, and these children are making the racket, and my teenager is giving me a headache or whatever. Like when we see a lot of problems in front of us, and it seems like we're seeing only problems, I'm going to call that, an expression of low mood. Negativity is low mood. Low energy is a form of low mood. When we're just dragging ourselves around, we're kind of a burden to ourselves. It's like we don't want to do anything. We're not feeling good. We're not feeling interested. Our motivation is down. Nothing is exciting us. Now, again, these are low moods. We're going to move to look at depression, because some of these come in depression too, which is more serious low mood. But these are the low moods that we all have on certain days, certain times. Wanting to be alone, just not feeling like I want to call anybody or deal with people, or people are too difficult right now. People give me a headache, that kind of thing. And another kind of symptom might be addictive urges, like, okay, now I'm eating all day, now I'm on my phone all day, now I just want to read my novels all day, or any of the more serious things in addictions. I want to shop all day. That can actually be covering, when I say covering, it's a reflection, one of the symptoms of low mood, because when we're feeling whole and satisfied and full. We don't have the emptiness that causes a craving. And our needy children who like, buy me this, get me this, do this, there's an emptiness. Sometimes we say that one of our kids might be a bottomless pit, so to speak, always needing our attention, always needing us to buy something, always needing us to go somewhere. That is a sort of a form of low mood. And sometimes in the ADHD population, the boredom that they feel, we call it boredom, like they're going like, there's nothing to do, that's after 1 second after they just finished the last activity, right? I'm so bored, and you can't seem to give them enough things to keep them busy. But that bored feeling is not pleasant. It's not happy. It's a kind of agitated, unhappy, low mood type of feeling, okay? I'm going to just pause here because I went through a long list, but maybe I left off some of the things that you've experienced in low mood. And I wonder if you can just, jot in the chat box some of your own or things you've seen in your children or your spouse or other people. What other symptoms of low mood have you experienced or that you know about? I know I mentioned a lot, but.
Yeah, we'll just give it a minute. It'll take some time for people to write in.
Yes. While we let's see, I'm going to fool around with my screen for a minute. I hope I don't lose everything. Oh, I did lose everything. I did. Oh, gosh, I did. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, 1 minute. I've now lost everything again.
Okay, let me start reading some of these out.
That's a good idea.
Sensitivity to noise, sudden outbursts of anger, don't want to do anything, guilt, wanting to eat unhealthy foods, feeling tired, lashing out in anger, lack of enthusiasm for life. Can low moods look like resentment and anger? Absolutely. It looks like that's exactly what other people are feeling as well. Aggressive and mad behavior with siblings or being disrespectful to parents. Low energy, inability to get motivated to do anything. Grief after loss. Tears, feeling overwhelmed, blaming others. Crying a lot for any small challenge. Tired, overwhelmed. PMS is definitely coming up a lot.
Yes.
Exhaustion, poor sleep habits. Not feeling like you have a goal for anything. Wanting to crawl back into bed. Demanding. Eating large amounts of food.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so we have a lot of those. One that was reminded me that I left it out in terms of one of the symptoms that is very common is sleep difficulties, actually. When our mood is dropping, sometimes our nighttime activity is getting more intense, that we can't fall asleep or we wake up a lot, tossing and turning, poor quality sleep. Now, again, as we move into deeper levels of low mood, we also have deeper levels of sleep disruption and things like really waking up at 2 a.m. and not being able to go back to sleep, or not being able to stay in bed past 5 o'clock or something like this. But we'll get to that. We're just talking about a symptom that all of us could feel is like difficult nights, okay, just because there's some kind of agitation in the system. And a lot of you said, a lot of fatigue, a lack of interest or motivation, a lot of irritability and snappiness. When we look at how low mood is expressed in different cultures and different places, it's interesting because not everybody expresses low mood the same way. So men as a group, when they're suffering from low mood, they as a group tend to be more irritable. When I say as a group, there's plenty of irritable women who, when they're in low mood, it comes out in irritability. But as a group, men get more angry and irritable and impatient. Women also have that, but they may also be more clearly down or sad, complaining more about emptiness and that sort of thing. So slightly different between the genders, and also different across different parts of the world. In some cultures, the only acceptable way to express low mood is through irritation, and some, in other places, it's going to be a more quiet, stoic sadness or withdrawal. Children in general, children and up to teens also tend to express low mood more through negativity, the negative talking, negative thinking, aggressive behaviors, the angry behaviors. And as they get older, there is more of the social withdrawal, the quietness, the internalization, the just the psychological, especially if they're female, more of the sadness. Um, right. So, okay, those are the things that happen to us, and obviously they're uncomfortable, which means that they have signal value. They have it's a mood with a message. Okay, it is a mood messenger that is trying to tell us this is not okay. Okay, it's like when we have a pain signal in the body, and pain tells us, look, there's an injury somewhere. You've got to go fix it. You've got to attend to it. So we can't just ignore pain because something bad could happen to the injured part of the body. We have to see what's at the root of it and heal it, and then the body will heal. The pain is a warning signal for our benefit. So when we have emotional pain, we that is a warning signal to us. We're supposed to be happy, like a lot of the time, which is interesting because when you walk down the street, a lot of times you don't see radiant, glowing faces. You're sitting on a bus. I don't know. People don't look all that happy all the time, but it's not. We'll use the word normal in the sense that it's normal for people to have low mood sometimes, but not and it's normal for normal in terms of numbers for people not to look happy. More people look unhappy than look happy, generally speaking, when you just see them sitting around. But and in terms of healthy, let's talk about healthy, okay? Healthy is an overall physical mind body experience where we're really reaching our potential in life. Physically, we're up, we're ready for the game, we're mobile, we're moving, okay? And mentally, we're thinking, our brains are in place, we're challenging ourselves, we're reaching that challenge, we're accomplishing, we're doing, and we're feeling pretty good. Okay, now not every moment because our feelings, which I spoke about before, are happening all day long to signal us to do things, to address issues and to replace what's lost and to set boundaries and all the things that feelings signal. I'm not saying that we should, if we're going to be healthy, be smiling every moment of the day because that means that we're ignoring what's really going on. But we should return to that smile pretty fast if we're succeeding at mastering our moods. And again, we won't get all the tricks to that here, but we're going to get enough of a start that if you're serious about it, you can certainly elevate your mood. Okay, and if you really want the details, again, you'll join us for the follow-up. We're going to look at it very closely to see, well, how can we be in a state where we're actually enjoying our lives, even the struggle of our lives, and we're in a pretty decent mood most of the time. Because in that state, we're also physically healthier and we're accomplishing what we're here to do. We're accomplishing our life's purpose. Well, what throws us off our game? Okay, what triggers a low mood? Let's say that, okay, we woke up, and things were going okay. What is it that makes our mood drop? Again, I'm going to ask you for your opinion, and I'll tell you some of the things that I thought of. We're calling triggers for to drop our mood. Okay, it was good until what? Okay, can you tell me like what sends you down the spiral? Okay, what gets you off your horse there and just like falling down? And again, we'll give you a minute, Jillian, too. This time I won't
Yeah,
fool
these
around.
are coming in really quickly.
Okay.
Lack of sleep, worry about
Yeah.
the future,
Mm,
fighting with spouse, too many demands, jealousy, sudden changes, frustration, being overwhelmed, tiredness, husband and children not doing what they want, not doing what I want, unpredictability. Kids are very demanding, lack of sleep. A lack of sleep is coming up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Difficult people around you, things not going according to plan.
Mm,
Absolutely. Lack of control. Someone does something that triggers the worry inside of you. Plans get thrown off, stress, difficult children, fighting
mm,
with kids, kids talking back,
mm.
cloudy day,
Yes.
When a spouse snaps at you, anxiety about the kids, a long list of to-dos,
Yes.
dehydration or not eating enough.
Mm.
Yeah, too many responsibilities, friction in relationships, different life circumstances, lack of understanding, lack of self-care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. A lot of you have a lot of insight. I think you could give the webinar. It's great. I hope you're doing something about it. Those of you who wrote those down, I hope not only do you recognize it, but you're also addressing it. Okay, that's the big thing. Um, you've mentioned some very good ones, all of you. Thank you for that. Lifestyle factors that have come out a lot, like not getting enough sleep, is definitely a big one, and not something that we always have total control over, especially if we have families with children in them. But there's other things that disrupt our sleep also. And we also have food. Some people mentioned not getting enough water, not getting enough nutrients of the right kind. So diet, exercise, lack of those things definitely does lower our mood. So in a way, that should almost be, those things should almost be simple to fix, okay? But the ones that were in the other category, the ones that involve people, like people lower our mood. If we could just get rid of those people, we'd be happy all the time. Or if we could get those people to behave as we would like them to all the time, be quiet and be respectful, be nice, treat me well. If you could just do what I want, then I would be in a delightful mood, okay? So yeah, people is a problem for most of us. And events also our perception and our interpretation of things. And a lot of you did mention activities that go on in the head. For example, some of you said things about worrying. You said perhaps they're triggered by something that happened, although plenty of us can worry without being triggered by anything that's happening. Our own imagination is terrific. And we can get ourselves into, there's two thought habits that really lower our mood. One is worry, and the other is rumination. And I'll define them for our purposes as follows. Rumination is thinking about unpleasant things that have happened. Sometimes, as in post-traumatic stress disorder, flashbacks, which is a replay of a very traumatic, painful, troubling event, will happen. Now, those are out of our control. They're part of a disorder. And when you address the disorder of post-traumatic stress disorder, then those stop, okay? Now, rumination has more of a intentional quality to it. In other words, we can choose to ruminate and we can choose to stop ruminating. For those who have obsessive rumination, meaning that their brain is a little, it's kind of like a form of, it's actually, I was going to say it's like OCD, except that it's actually there's a form of OCD called pure OCD, which refers to obsessions without compulsions. They're really mental obsessions, and rumination can be one of them, where it is much harder to stop that racket. It's a racket that comes, it's a little bit different than I am thinking. And I can choose to stop thinking, which is I'm going to call pure rumination. Like I'm thinking about that horrible conversation I just had with so-and-so, right? And it wasn't good the first time around. And it's not good on this 100th round that I'm thinking about it either, okay? That is purposeful, intentional thinking called rumination. Now, obsessional thinking is kind of rumination on steroids. It's like the thoughts keep coming, and in fact, they can be rerouted, but that usually requires a therapeutic intervention if it's got that obsessional quality and it feels much more out of control. Rumination by itself is more of a mental habit, which we may have developed when we were children, and we may be very proficient at it and we do it all the time, but we can stop it fairly easily with our own strategies, which we will again be learning about. But obsessional stuff requires a little bit more intense strategies and usually with the help of a therapist. So, but let's look at normal rumination, which is replaying something that was unfortunate to begin with. I said, well, why would we replay it? Um, and it is a mental bad habit that we haven't really identified how serious it is for us, because rumination is one of the biggest contributors to low mood. Just going over what's wrong, okay? It's any kind of negative thinking. Negative thinking is thinking about bad things. Every thought that we have has this chemical package attached to us. So when we're picturing a memory that was unpleasant the first time around, it caused a unpleasant chemical reaction the first time around when it happened. And when we think about it, it actually causes that same chemical reaction, unfortunately for us. Um, Worrying is like rumination, except instead of looking backwards, we are looking forward to a negative event. It's kind of a funny oxymoron, isn't it? We're looking forward to a negative event. Um, so we're thinking about all the things that could go wrong, that could be bad, that could be unpleasant, that could be awful, that would be the worst in the world. And how is that going to make us feel? Every thought we think, even a single word, like the word um, love or the word thank you. These words actually have been researched and found that they produce a chemical structure in the fluids in our body, but they also produce chemicals inside of us. So the thought of love, the word itself, starts a cascade of positive chemistry, whereas the word hate or violence or any of the fail or I don't know, death, these kinds of words, they begin a cascade in the other direction. And whenever we think a sentence or certainly imagine a picture of something that's good, then we fill our body with healing, rejuvenating, renewing, and amazing mood elevating chemistry. But on the other hand, when we think of something that is negative in its essence, okay, something, a disappointment, a failure, a loss, a problem, a hardship, a struggle, whatever it is, it brings with it low mood chemistry. So um, we're dosing ourselves all day long with uppers and downers. Okay, so we want to become aware of that. Uh, and it's not so much really the people. I said the people in the world um, are not really the problem so much as how we're thinking about them and their events, how we're interpreting, a setback that we've had, a disappointment that occurred, what happens in our head after those things. The event themselves may produce a moment of something, but then we take that moment and we run with it in our habitual directions. So if our habitual directions lower our moods, this is something that we're going to want to fix so that we can be a lot happier. Now, if we don't, like if we're careless, I'm going to say, about where we allow our attention, our internal attention to wander, then we can take ourselves into a low mood, which is low enough to be called a depressed mood. And sometimes, you see, I mentioned before that we can start off with a biological challenge, that we're crabby to begin with. We're an irritable baby. Everything bothers us. We're sensitive. We're sensitive to texture, touch, clothing, food, sounds, everything. Our body's reactive. We're kind of unsettled when we come into the world. Okay, we have that problem. Like we're not chilled, like every little thing makes us go nuts. Okay, that from infancy, all right? We could start, and our children could start off with a handicap in the mood department. But because of neuroplasticity and the ability to rewire the circuits, we're not doomed there. Okay, if we consistently do the things that would change the responses in our bodies, we can get into better moods more of the time. As I say, stronger and longer periods of better mood. So some of us might be going, let's say, on a 10-point scale. We were born at an 8. We were happy to come into the world. Everything's great. Nothing bothers us. We're hardy. That's great, the genetic gift. We can continue. We can persevere with that and stay at an 8. We can raise it to a 9. or we can be careless and end up, going downwards. That can happen through. It can happen. We'll talk about it later. Um, but if we even started off at a 4, okay, and let's say we're just chronic low mood, we can get ourselves up to 6.5, 7. That's better, okay? That's a lot better. From there, we can function and have a very good life. And if we keep going, we can go higher, right? So we're not stuck with where we started. But if we're not careful, what happens is, or if we're not knowledgeable, let's put it this way, we will just strengthen that 4 until it can actually become a 3. Okay, like we can get lower as we become good at what we're doing to lower our mood. For example, we can become very proficient at worrying. Okay, we become a professional worrier. Now, if we only worried a little when we were a kid, a little more when we were a teenager, and by the time we're in our 20s and 30s with our own children, we're worrying all day long about them, about ourselves. The worry has expanded tenfold, and we have not intervened on that. What's happening is we're sending out that low mood chemistry more and more of the time, and we're getting better and better at doing it. So eventually, we can find ourselves in deeper states of low mood, like I said, possibly depression. Rumination is very strongly linked to depression. That is, we're thinking about what went wrong, what is wrong, what will be wrong, okay? And all of those wrong things are sour. They're miserable to our head, to our consciousness, and to our body. They lower our mood. So eventually, we can get into periods. Well, there's two possibilities. Okay, first of all, we can have the chronic low mood thing. They used to call that dysthymia. They call it now persistent depressive disorder or something like that. But it just means we're living like that. Like for, you know, to get that diagnosis, you have to be like that for a couple of years. And then basically, if you don't do anything about it, you'll be like that for a couple of decades, your whole lifetime. It can be like that. But you can intervene and you can fix that, okay, even when it's gotten to that point. And here, so the symptoms we talked about earlier that we all experience are just more intense and certainly more chronic. So less happy feelings, less enjoyment from life, less motivation, more fatigue, sometimes now difficulty concentrating or making decisions, feeling more stressed, um, just more lethargic or perhaps more agitated. Now, as those deepen even more to a state that can be called major depressive episode or clinical depression, it becomes so intense that for a short while, because this only requires like a couple of weeks to be diagnosed with this, although it can last for weeks or sometimes months. Usually in our culture, we have this treated and we get better faster. So we don't stay in those. And even if you don't have it treated, we actually come out of those major episodes and then sometimes just float through on the chronic persistent low mood thing until the next major depressive episode. But we can even have a major depressive episode and then become completely happy, okay, if you do the right things, okay? So this is what we want to be able to do. But in a real clinical episode of depression, then hopelessness, now despair, real sleeping problems of the kind I mentioned before, where you maybe can't fall asleep, where you're up at 2 or 3 a.m., can't get back to sleep, you're up at 5 a.m., you're maybe having putting on weight or losing a lot of weight. You're having the real symptoms of lack of pleasure in almost anything, perhaps a lot of crying, maybe even thoughts of wanting to end your life. Like it's getting serious then and requires medical attention. So it really requires fast and serious help. So those are now, okay, I can even refine it a little bit more. We have something of all the shades of depression now, we'll say subclinical depression. We just have a few of the symptoms. Mild depression. With subclinical and mild depression, self-help is all that we need, okay? We can lift our moods by doing the right things, by asking that mood, what's missing, okay? What's wrong with my life? Looking around and adjusting it, which we'll get into a couple of things that we can do in a minute. Moderate depression, where it's just now affecting more areas, perhaps we're not shining at work, our relationships are not thriving because of our mood, we're feeling more miserable. This can benefit from counseling and self-help. Major depression must have medical help and perhaps regular psychotherapy and self-help. Okay, self-help is part of every kind of help for low mood because there is no cure for mood that's just in a pill. Okay, we have to live the right life and think the right thoughts to have a good mood. Of course, there's the physically induced bipolars, and which are up and down moods, very low moods sometimes, postpartum depressions, very chemical hormonal reactions. These need medical attention. Seasonal affective disorder moods, where the lack of sunshine is really affecting us badly, light therapy and self-help. So let's look at some of the things that we can do to help ourselves, just be overall more up than down. One is that when we get down, we need to be friendly to ourselves about that and helpful to ourselves. We want to introspect instead of ruminate, which just takes this point a little further that if we have the low mood, we want to just say, okay, hello, here we are again, that's fine. It's kind of a temporary headache of the soul, is the way I look at it. Like, when you have a headache, you want to support yourself through that. You might take a Band-Aid, Tylenol, Advil, whatever is your favorite pain reliever. You might take it a little easier. You might slow down because a low mood is really a signal to hold it. Okay, just slow down and find out what is happening here. Okay, just stop racing around or stuffing food down. You're starving yourself or whatever you're doing. Like, just slow down. You need to rest and restore. Your mood is telling you that you need to adjust something. Something's out of balance. But before you can even begin to find out, you want to step back from life. In fact, the mood invites you to do that by making you less social, less motivated, less energetic. It's kind of almost saying, let's just go to bed, but not just to go to sleep. Okay, that's when low mood has gone wrong, and now we're really depressed, and now I'm just going to go to bed and stay there. Okay, like, we can't live like that, obviously. Although that desire to withdraw and to rest and to restore is what gets us into bed. And you can stay there for a couple of hours, but you better get up and ask the question, what's wrong? Okay. Especially with our regular low moods, rest and restore might mean, look, got to take a few things off of my agenda. We saw that some of you said earlier that overwhelm, too much to do, lowers your mood. Yes, it does. It's too hard. We can't cope. So what we want to do is maybe lighten our load for a few days, maybe for a month if we need to, if our mood is really trying to tell us something. We might want to just have some quiet. And when we be nice to ourselves, a cup of tea, little treats, ease up on all the responsibilities that we possibly can, and treat yourself like you have a headache of the soul, which is what you do have. And you'll feel better soon, because that's how we get out of it. We have to accept it, just like we accept a headache. This is a form of emotional self-support. Okay, we have to help ourselves through it. And then we'll ask ourselves, okay, what's missing? Do I need to fix my diet? Would a little bit more exercise help? Now, exercise, it helps even the major depression moods. Okay, exercise is a real chemical boost to the body, and those people who are doing 20 minutes, let's say 3 times, 4 times a week of real exercise, their mood is very protected. Now, we don't want to be doing 2 hours a day necessarily, because especially it can be an addictive thing. It can be helping us escape from things. It can be a cover up for low mood. We don't want that. But a little bit of movement, okay, is very, very good for our mood. Eating a lot of sugar and stuff. There's a book you might have come across called The Sugar Blues. Why it's called the blues? Because the wrong diet lowers our mood. So help yourself with these basic lifestyle things, like just get up and move to begin with, right? But I mean, this would go for anybody. Even if you said, what is missing in my life? What's unbalanced? What's making me sad? And you heard the answer, like, I have no friends. Okay, I'd still exercise because once you exercise, you're going to be up and ready to do what's necessary to say, okay, I have no friends. I better get one. Okay, I better work on that. I better see where I can fish out a friend and actually work on it because that is what your mood is telling you you need. And if you don't know how, then we're going to have to research how. And we may need a little bit of professional assistance if we're completely lost. Like, I don't know where to begin. I have no idea what to do. Then get a little bit of outside thinking on it and get moving and change that mood. Do not settle for low mood because as you do, it gets stronger and stronger. And it won't settle with you because the mood gets more and more intense and it says, are you listening to me? Like at low light mood. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? If you go like, no. And then it gets more depressed. Are you listening now? No. Okay. And then you're completely dysfunctional. Everybody around you, mommy, get out of bed. Your husband, like, what's wrong with you? You're not functioning. Your job is like, if you don't shape up, we're gonna have to let you go. You know, your whole world is crashing. Are you listening to me yet? Oh, okay, now I'll listen. You know what? It would have been easier to listen at the beginning when the mood was light and do what you need to do to fix it. Okay. We need things that are fun. You can ask yourself, am I getting enough entertainment in my life? Am I doing things that are interesting? But interestingly, one of the most important things is living a purposeful life, having some meaning and direction. A lot of times, low mood is like, what's the point? Okay, what am I here for? I can't connect. And then people outside you might say, well, hold on a second. You're a parent to your children, you're a spouse to your partner, you're an important person with doing important work, you're doing important spiritual work, you're contributing to the world. Like people might tell you from the outside, but your inside is not buying it. Okay, and your inside may not be buying it because for what you have come down here on earth to do, you're missing the point of your existence. Okay, you have to find your unique reason for being here, your unique contribution. When people say, but you're a parent, isn't that the most important thing in the world, like, or something like, you might go like, oh, okay, yeah, everybody's a parent, and of course we know not everybody is a parent. It's a blessing and everything to be a parent, but some people it's like that's their whole raison d'etre. But for other people, it's like, that's not what I need. It's not enough for me. There's something missing. And it's only you who will find out what that purpose is by listening deeply with times of quietness. Again, in the upcoming follow-up course, we're going to learn how to do that. But you need to find yourself in order to have a good mood. We want to guard our brain and help our children guard their brains from negativity because, as I said, rumination is the ruination of our good mood. So you should be talking at home about good things. Okay, what's the good news today? At the table, you should be discussing what went well, interesting things you read, interesting things you learned for your own sake and for the children's sake. Let's not have a culture of problems. What went wrong today? What horrible thing happened to you? And don't show tremendous interest in your children's problems. Show more interest in their accomplishments and their joys and their happiness and their feelings of satisfaction. Yes, of course, support them through their problems because if you don't do that, that will also foster low mood in them. So when they do have a problem, we need to know how to listen supportively, accept their mood, but accept it like their headache of the soul, like we accepted ours. Like just not freaking out, not like, oh, this is horrible. Why aren't you happy? You need to go get more friends. You need to, like, don't push them. Just like we're not going to push ourselves. We're in that low state, but gently heal ourselves out of it, giving ourselves time and love and understanding. We do that for our children too. But at the same time, we want to foster a culture of optimism and a focus on the positive side of life because the world is kind of half and half when it comes to what we could focus on, the good or the bad, what might go wrong or what might go right. We never consider what might go right. We may have to reduce if we're in a low mood a lot contact with people who are triggering low mood. Some of you said that, well, the wrong people. Now, this doesn't mean run out and get divorced, but there may be optional people in your life, certain friends you talk to who love to complain, and that's all they talk about, what's wrong with their lives, their marriages, their job, or whatever it is, maybe you want to spend less time with around people like that, or change the topic first, see if they can get them onto something else. Reduce the outside influences of negativity. Don't look at sad things, read sad books, watch sad movies. Don't do that. Okay, like turn your attention to the things that will give us better chemistry, because you are dosing yourself with every thought that you think and with everything that you see and hear. They all have a chemical impact. If you look at a picture of a child dying in his mother's arms, what do you think you're going to feel? Like, you better be careful what you're looking at, what you're reading, okay? Because these are affecting our chemistry. So I'm just going to see if there's anything else that I want to get down. We said, oh yeah, okay. When we find, there's something called the virtuous cycle of strength, which is using your God-given gifts and talents to be your best self, to accomplish what you are sent here for. And this is linked to that idea of having a purpose-driven life, because this has been shown to be quite an antidote to chronic low mood. It's not that we need to be in a smiling state all the time, but a state of satisfaction is the opposite of a state of low mood. So when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and what we can be doing, and we're using whatever gifts we have, our voice if we're a singer, our hands if we're a doer, our intellect if we can use it for something, for writing, for talking, whatever, whatever we've given, when you use it, everything inside you says, I'm on purpose. This is where I should be. This is right. And we have a tremendous feeling of satisfaction. Helping your children to find and strengthen their strengths is a gift for that. Also, there's just, this idea of keeping your eye on the ball, which is the happy ball. And there's a simple exercise, which many of you might know already, called the 3 good things. And this kind of trains the brain to look for and find things that will produce good chemistry. So at the end of a day or at the dinner table with your kids, so tell me 3 good things, 3 things that happened that went well for you today. Or this could be a bedtime discussion with the kids who you're putting to bed, a table time discussion with your teenagers, So what went well today for you? What worked out? And share yours. And when we do that, there's been a body of research on this exercise of naming 3 good things. What this does is it causes the brain to search for good things all the time, because every day I'm going to have to report 3 good things. So like I'm going to have to write them down in my journal, or I'm going to have to share them at the table or whatever. What this causes the brain to do is be looking and finding successes and happinesses all day long. Now, obviously, there is so much more to say about elevating our mood, and that's why I will be doing in the coming weeks a 6-week or 7-week, I forget what it is, course on this subject to take us deeper into it. So although we have some things to get started today, and they will help if you start doing them, if you do want to join me, then I want to join you too, and I want to explore this even deeper, and we can all learn together. And if you please stay on the line, Jillian will tell you how to do that. But I want all of you to stay on this line right now, because we're going to be entertaining questions. And I do find that this portion where you ask and I answer allows me to expand on the concepts and give you material which I forgot to mention, this always happens, and material which is elucidated. It comes out through our discussion. So I'm urging you, begging you, please stay on the line. Even though every few minutes Jillian will be giving you instructions on how to sign up for more classes on this topic. Don't leave us. Stay and listen to the questions, and please ask for your comments. So, Jillian, are you there? Are you?
I'm
You
here
ready
and
to?
I'm ready to
Okay,
go.
good,
There are people
good.
asking how can we continue. So I'm going to
Okay,
go ahead and get right into that. And we've also had really wonderful questions coming in throughout the
great.
class today. So I will get to as many of those as possible as well. And please continue to put your questions in. In the meantime, let me tell you exactly what this journey is going to entail. As Sarah Chana mentioned, we really just got started today, but there's so much more to come. And it is going to be a 7-week full interactive live workshop, including the first week, The Doctor Is You. Develop the skills and perspectives to facilitate the healing of low moods in yourself and your children. Followed by Building Optimism and Reducing Negativity. Learn how to utilize the principles of neuroplasticity and brain science to build a happier mindset in yourself and your kids. Then, Energizing the System. Discover how to activate healing processes when the system is down. Week 4, we're going to learn what the meaning and mood is. So uncover new methods for reconnecting to values, purpose, and meaning. Followed by Mindfulness and Mood. Open yourself up to awareness, compassion, and healing. And then Reducing the Pain. Explore healthy and unhealthy ways to address the pain of emptiness, loss, grief, hurt, and anxiety. And in our final week, we're going to have a full hour Q&A and implementation session, which you'll be able to gain solutions to your personal questions through a live Q&A and implementation session. Now, each of our live and interactive classes are going to take place on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Israel time. But don't worry, if you can't make it to a live class, you'll always have a recording available to you in your own personal membership area, and you'll be able to go there to download it or listen to it at your convenience. We're actually going to be starting next week already, so we just have 1 week until we start or continue, I should say, on this amazing journey. And as I mentioned again, if the time isn't super convenient for you, you'll still have the ability to email us at Jewish Workshops with any questions you might have, and we can just make sure that Sarah Chana addresses those during the live classes. Each week she'll have some time to answer questions, and then as I mentioned in this last week, you'll get a full hour Q&A. Plus, that's not all. We're also adding in amazing bonuses, Living Your Best Marriage Complete Series. Develop a healthier, happier, more fulfilling relationship by creating a clear path towards conflict resolution and true connection through harmony, understanding, and peace. Plus, how to overcome stress and create the life you want. In this 5-part series, discover how to successfully cope with stress, escape the burden of hopeless exhaustion, and live a happy, productive, and upbeat life. You'll also get Helping Your Child Through Anxious Moments. Based on Sarah Chana Radcliffe's book, The Fear Fix, this course will give you and your child tools for easing all kinds of anxious feelings, including worry, stress, panic, and fear. Appropriate for young children, teens, and adults, the material explored in this course will help the whole family enjoy greater peace of mind, better sleep, and more joy. You'll also get Sarah Chana's brand new ebook, Better Behavior Now. Put an end to inappropriate, harmful, hurtful, self-defeating, uncooperative, and otherwise unacceptable behavior once and for all, and learn exactly how to get your child to make lasting, positive behavioral changes. And the final bonus is a 4-month membership in Sarah Chana's Family Circle, a community of parents from around the world giving and gaining consistent ongoing support. Guided by Sarah Chana Radcliffe with weekly live and interactive webinars, you will get the skills and exercises you need in order to take your family relationships to new heights and become the spouse and parent you've always wanted to be. This is going to be the very first time Sarah Chana has opened up a brand new community online to invite parents from around the world to join her week after week for an ongoing series. God willing, it will last years and years. So this is really exciting for us to be able to host that with our Jewish Workshops community. And included in this package is going to be a 4-month membership for you. As you can see, Sarah Chana will be walking you through various aspects of parenting and emotional well-being to ensure that you and your family are set to thrive. You'll have one-on-one support throughout this program and will have the unique opportunity to get your personal questions answered that you haven't been able to get answered previously. But most importantly, by investing in yourself and your family now, you'll discover how to identify the source of your low moods or those of your child and use Sarah Chana's practical tools to help you maintain emotional balance and regain your ability to cope with life's challenges. Recognize common symptoms in your children and learn what your children aren't always able to express. You'll discover how to work on and then model the thought process of happiness to help manage negative thoughts, build optimism, and establish emotional resilience. And finally, become a guide who will support your children's emotional needs and put an end to sleepless nights and worrying about the things that you can't control. An opportunity like this rarely comes along, but as I mentioned earlier, we listened to all of our members' requests, and together with Sarah Chana, a one-of-a-kind mentor, we are offering the guidance you need and deserve for a highly reduced rate. Plus, to make it accessible, we are also offering payment plan options when you register. So you have an option to become a basic member today and get the entire 7-week ongoing series with Sarah Chana for just $397. Plus, we're going to go ahead and throw in the new ebook for you for Better Behavior Now as well. Or you can become a platinum member and get the full 7-week course on mastering your moods, plus the Living the Best Marriage complete 6-part series, how to overcome stress and create the life you want, helping your child through anxious moments, and the Better Behavior Now ebook, plus the ongoing support after the Mastering Your Moods course is over, an additional 4 months membership in Sarah Chana's Family Circle, all for just $597. And as I mentioned, we have payment plan options when you click to register. So please don't worry. There are definitely going to be options that will best fit your needs. So let me go ahead and share the link right now in the chat box. It's www.jewishworkshops.com/moods. And I'm putting it right in your chat box so you can actually copy the link right out of there, open a new browser on your computer, and put that in so you can get your secure your spot now, but still stick on the line and listen to the class because we're going to get to some questions and answers. I just want to make sure that I'm putting the link in now so that you can secure your spot and come right on back and let me know. So as soon as you have that spot and you're all registered, please just come on back to the chat box and put your first name and the words "I'm in." I'd love to be able to welcome you to our community. And if you're having any technical difficulties, if for some reason there's trouble with registration, please come right on back and just put your name and your telephone number right into the chat box. I'd love to have somebody give you a call right away. I've got Chava here, I have Hannah here, Adina's gonna be by a little bit later. We've got the phone lines packed, ready to help you and make sure that we can get you registered right away. So let me go ahead and put that in one more time. And for those of you who are listening in on the phone, I'll say it. It's www.jewishworkshops.com/moods. It's right there in your chat box. It's right up on the screen. If you're having any difficulties, please come and put your first name or your first name and last name and your phone number. And once you're registered, please just come on back and write your name and the words "I'm in" so I can welcome you. Okay, we're going to get to some questions in just a little bit. Let me see, there's some questions actually about the course, so sorry. I know that I can sometimes go a little quickly through that. Let me just make sure I get those answered. Okay, Jacqueline, in answer to your question, all of the classes for Master Your Moods take place on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Israel time, and we are starting next Thursday, June 7th. That's going to be the first class in this series. And then on when you become a platinum member and you continue on with Sarah Chana in her family circle, those classes will also take place on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Israel time. But again, please don't worry if you can't make it to a live session. You will always have a recording available to you, and those recordings are available to you for as long as you need them. As long as you continue on in the family circle, you'll have all of those recordings that you need. And once you are part of our Master Your Moods course, those classes will be available to you for a lifetime to listen to or download at your convenience. All right, let me see. Sarah Chana, we did have some questions coming in, so let me start getting to some of those. And I do want to say welcome. I can see a couple people are already in, so great. Welcome, MA. You are... it's so wonderful to have you, and welcome DM, welcome BE. I'm seeing a lot of people starting to join, which is so wonderful and great to hear. Please come on back, put your name and your and the words "I'm in" right into this chat box so I can welcome you too. In the meantime, I'm going to get to some of these questions. So Sarah Chana, we had a question come in. How do I get myself motivated to get out of a low mood when the fact is that when I'm in a low mood, I have no motivation at all?
Exactly. Although we have no motivation, we still have a brain, okay? So once we learn and we're studying, okay, how does one get out of low mood? It's good, especially if you know that you're prone to low moods, to write a short checklist of things that you could do to get out of your low mood. So we're going to start with the easier ones first. Like, first of all, go ahead and rest, because we have that, I have a headache kind of thing of the soul, and I just need to take a few hours or take a few days and lay low. Okay, go ahead, be nice about it. Great. And then, all right, now let's slowly do something. And on this little list that maybe you've made, you've got things that are easy for you to do even when you're in a low mood and even when you don't particularly want to do them. It could be something that you're going to, I don't know, it'll be different for different people, right? It might be clean a drawer, because cleaning a drawer is quite an accomplishment, and you always feel better after you clean a drawer. Or it might be do something with your garden, or it might be walk halfway around the block and back. It might be very, very slowly. It's not like, okay, go to the gym and work out for an hour. It can just be this smallest thing. Go to the mall, for half an hour, come home. Just get outside, go sit on the porch if that's all you can do, but increase it each day. Okay, so a little bit now, a little bit more tomorrow. And when I say we have a brain, what I mean is, if this is the medicine, okay, and there's a part of you that is not broken. Okay? We always have parts that are like doing quite poorly, but we have other parts that are still looking around, going like, I am in the world, and there is something I could do. That's how we get ourselves to a therapist or to a doctor, because part of us is not well, but part of us knows how to go get that help. So that we're taking that helping part and saying, I'm going down the list. Writing out that list beforehand is important, because when you're in really low mood, you may not have the wherewithal to think, what can I do? Okay, so you should think about that now, and have it somewhere where you can pull it out easily from your device or your drawer or however you work, and then start working down it. Okay, it's you're going to force yourself, and at first you won't be too happy about it, but so what? It's like taking medicine. This is the medicine for your mood. Okay.
Great, thank you so much. I've got some other questions. When we see this happening in our teens or in any of our children, how can we help them actually try to get out of a mood when they're not interested in seeking help?
Yeah, well, first of all, we say, I actually wrote a little list of things. I'm going to go find it here. Strategies to lower your child's mood. Because, it's funny what we do when we see other people in a low mood. For us, we just want to go to bed. Okay, leave me alone. But when we see a spouse in a low mood, we may start, snap out of it. I'm tired of your grumpy mood. Some of us are nicer, but it depends on how often we see that mood, and how intense it is and how it's coming at us too. With a child, we tend to get more anxious rather than angry about that mood. And, okay, come on, get up, call a friend, go do something, stop lazing around, get out of your room, which is not supportive from the child's point of view. Okay, like, as a therapist talking to, let's say, teenagers, I'll hear from them things like, my parents start, getting on my case. It doesn't help me at all. They don't understand. So the same principles apply to them as apply to us, that we've got to go compassionately and slowly and just step by step. Honey, you've been in your room for a few days now, whatever. How about you and I just, sit on the porch together and just get some fresh air, like make it easy. Like I'm going to make you your favorite beverage or food or whatever it is, but you got to eat it with me outside. Come on, let's go. And now that we're outside, you know what? Let's just go to the corner store. I forgot to get the tissues or whatever. Just, do you want to come with me? And like slowly, get up and around kindly. But that pushing thing doesn't tend to work. As the time goes longer, I mean, you need to talk to the child. Like, honey, you've been dragging around for a while. Like, maybe there's something we can do to help. What seems to be the problem? And the child, if you have the ability to use emotional coaching, that technique of listening in a non-threatening, completely accepting, very skillful way, which if you join my parenting community, it'll be you'll be a pro eventually at that. But anyways, the ability to support your child the way a high-priced therapist might is a very useful tool, although it's always harder for us parents because we're a little bit too close, a little bit too emotionally involved, but still, we can do better than, let's say, our parents did for us. We can really do very well sometimes helping our child find the underlying cause of their mood and then adjust it. We can also offer the child, and depending on how young the child is, force the child, it depends if it's a little kid, into some of the biological uppers that can help low mood. So there are things in the nutritional department. First of all, let's go to exercise again to begin with the child. Like there's the playing around the let's say playing ball where you're running. If you can get that child, if it's a child and you're playing something physical, that's just a way to boost mood. But if you can get that child laughing through a board game, that may be a way to boost mood. Reading a funny story, doing what do you call it, riddles and jokes from a joke book, because every single thought has its chemical package, right? So if you're getting that child to laugh for a few minutes, move that body into a very chemically positive zone, you're pumping things up there. And there's other child-friendly interventions that your naturopath might be able to suggest, because there are nutritional supplements like the essential fatty acids, the omega-3s or whatever, the salmon oils, whatever's right for your child, the age of your child. The extra supplements, even up to 5-HTP and things that we ingest that are neurotransmitters or neurotransmitter facilitators, your naturopath might know about them. And we can, depending on how strongly negative a mood your child or teen is in, a little bit of boost. It could be that your teenager is a girl who's subject to premenstrual moods, and it could be some extra B vitamins. But again, this is not my area. This would be the area of your doctor, your naturopath. But with children, a naturopath is a good place to begin, because if you want to stay away from um, medical things at first and just see how far you can get with herbs, nutrients, sometimes physical things like craniosacral manipulations, chiropractic sometimes. Like there's certain things that practitioners in your area may be able to do that will just get your child feeling better. It works for us as well, it's not just for kids. Those are first places. Also, I myself am a Bach flower practitioner, Bach, B-A-C-H, and those little remedies, which are very child friendly, are specific to mood. So if you went to your health food store and just picked up, let's say, for a very negative child, the Bach flower remedy Beech, B-E-E-C-H, for one who's very agitated or having a lot of temper tantrums, there might be. I mean, we really want to have it done properly for a child, but there's no harm in trying one remedy and just seeing if it does anything at all for your child. When we do it properly, we often put 3, 4, 5, even up to 7 remedies in one little mixing bottle and conquer everything, the child's temper tantrums and their crabbiness and their negativity and their criticalness and their neediness, all in one bottle. That's why I like Bach flower remedies a lot. But anyways, GORS, G-O-R-S-E, for hopelessness, whether that's your child's or your own or your spouse's. Larch, L-A-R-C-H, for feelings of inadequacy, like having trouble coping at school, everybody's better than me, I'm the worst one on the block, or whatever kind of thing that's lowering your mood that way. But there are 38 remedies, and each one has a different flavor of mood that they can help with. And in my book, The Fear Fix, or on the course, if you're going to be one of those, is it platinum member? I don't know, Jillian, what you said, but in that course, we have a detailed description of the way Bach flowers can help everybody in the family with their moods, for sure, and with their anxieties and everything. So there's quite a lot we can do for children. And like I said, keeping the home atmosphere positive. I mean, if you really wanted to lower your child's mood for decades to come, then you would have a very stressful home atmosphere, a lot of conflict, a lot of criticism, a lot of negativity, a lot of stress, that's a way to help your child have low mood for her whole life. So the opposite, working on yourself, becoming skilled in your marriage, being fairly happy and put together, and looking at the bright side, keeping things fairly stable emotionally in your environment. Nobody's always stable, but pretty good, these give your child this kind of atmosphere, makes your child more resilient. And the emotional coaching skill, the actual providing of support when your child needs it, also fosters resilience throughout the lifespan. Now, resilience is the child's ability to bounce back from a bad mood. Like, instead of like, okay, now I'm down for the year, I'm down for the afternoon, but okay, I'm up and I'm going again. Like we see in babies, they're super resilient. Like they're screaming one minute and they're laughing the next. Like they really recover fast. And then we tend to lose that as we get older, such that when we go down, you have a fight with your spouse and then you're in a bad mood for a week. That's such a waste of your life. We want to be resilient, to be able to get it back together and get back to our good space and our good life as fast as possible. And again, there's lots of skills that we need to learn to be able to do that. Stick with me. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I want to go ahead and welcome some of our newest members. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome, Esther. Welcome, Chana. And welcome, Malky. Great to have all of you here. Oh, and welcome, Leah. Wonderful. I urge you to please go ahead to www.jewishworkshops.com/moods. I'll put that in your chat box one more time. And then just come on back and let me know that you're in, please, with your name and the words "I'm in." And then, of course, I do see some people that are having trouble registering. That can often happen when we have a lot of people going to the site all at once. But if you're having any trouble, please just put your name and your telephone number right here in the chat box so that we can give you a call and help you get in as well. These introductory prices are only here for 24 hours, so you are saving an additional $100 right now by joining. And let me go ahead and just explain one more time. I know that some people were asking exactly what the bonuses included, so I'll go over that as well. When you join the basic membership, you are getting the full 7-week course on mastering your moods, plus Sarah Chana's new ebook, Better Behavior Now. And when you join the platinum membership, you are getting the full 7-week course of Mastering Your Moods, plus the ebook, plus a full downloadable series on living your best marriage, and the full downloadable series on how to overcome stress and create the life you want, helping your child through anxious moments. Also downloadable. You can listen to it at any time that is convenient for you. And then again, a 4-month membership just to get you started, because God willing, you'll stay with us for many, many more months after that. But you'll get your 4-month starter membership in Sarah Chana's Family Circle, which is going to be an ongoing live weekly class with Sarah Chana, delving into all different parenting techniques, different skills and exercises that will help you, as I mentioned, not only become a better parent, but a better spouse, and dealing with family relationships in general. And Sarah Chana, do you actually, can you give us a little insight into what this parenting community is going to look like?
Okay, I think it's going to look like a long journey of life, okay, that we're all on, that encompasses everything that comes up for us, really. We live in families. We have parents, we have siblings, we have children, we have cousins, we have in-laws, we have people, that problem that we spoke about earlier. And it's important for us to know how to manage all of those relationships in ways that make us have a good mood and help us enjoy lives and help us fulfill our potential here. So we're going to cover everything from how to bring out the best in ourselves, to how to bring out the best in our spouse, how to bring out the best in our children, how to have the best relationships we can, even with the difficult people who are thrust into our circle of life. And how to just, it's kind of like encompasses everything. In my mind, it's like all of psychology and all of philosophy and all of everything, all of spirituality, all of everything, because family life is it's everything, I think, so I don't know. I know it's not very detailed description, but we'll be covering whatever you want to cover. That's another point, like whatever people are interested in learning too. Like everything I know, I want to share with you. That's all, and we're constantly learning together, and I'm constantly learning. So as I learn more, I'll share more. But I have been learning, in my field for 40 years, and I've picked up a few tips and tricks. So I'm very happy to share them with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, so that will be included all in the Platinum package. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that screen right up there again for anyone who's having questions. And let me get to some more of these questions that have come in right now. Oh, and got to welcome Deborah, welcome, and welcome Karen. Great to have both of you as well.
I hope some men
Okay,
are going to join up.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
Uh-huh.
any yet, but come on
Uh-huh.
back and let me know that you're
Yes.
here, and I will be happy to welcome you.
Mhm.
Sarhana, we had a question come in. My husband always says that my happiness can't be dependent on circumstances or what the kids do. And in a way, I see that he's right, but in a way, I think he's wrong too. I'm dealing with extremely stressful kids and other circumstances all at the same time. How can we discuss this and how I can, I guess, move on?
Yes. So um, outside events are the stressful triggers that we'll be dealing with. How we deal with them does impact our mood. So, for example, let's say the principal calls home because the child has, I don't know, gotten into serious trouble at school, and we have to deal with it yet again. This is not the first time, and he's only one of our kids. They're always calling, whatever it is. So now, that's the incident. That's the trigger. That's the problem. The question is next, what's going to happen inside? All right. What are we going to be thinking about? How are we going to feel? How are we going to help ourselves through this? We may have reactions that have to do with our biology, how we're born, our chronic negativity, that like we tend to look at things in a hopeless way to begin with, or from our upbringing. And so everything else went wrong for all of our childhood and all of our adolescence. And now we have kids with problems and we're dragging all this unfinished business forward. It's interesting, but in therapy, when we want to get therapy for our low mood, we can actually reach into many therapeutic doors. There's a lot, because each one goes through a basic truth of how low mood is established. There are therapies that are psychodynamic, meaning they look back to our childhood and they try to get rid of that baggage so that we don't bring all that pain to this moment when the principal calls. Okay, so there's inner family systems, things that do that, trauma therapies that do that. Any basic what we call psychodynamic therapy does look back. Then there's therapies that go through the door of how we think. Well, what are we going to say about this? Like, okay, the kid has a problem. We have to go meet with the principal. Yes, yet again. So how terrible is this really, in the scheme of things? And those would be cognitive therapies, CBT. We're going to really straighten out our thought process. Perhaps we're catastrophizing. Like, is it really the end of the world? I mean, there's a lot of what they call cognitive errors that we make. We'll actually look at some of them when we go into our course deeper, because cognitive errors cause us grief. So it's worth looking at, but there are whole therapies based on that. Then there's more emotionally based therapies, which tend to hold us through the crisis. So yes, the kid is having trouble and our heart is breaking and we're feeling sad. Do we know how to support ourselves? We can learn this in a therapy that is emotionally based, or through some of the things that I'll be doing. Certainly, again, if you stick with me long enough, you'll be learning. That's even in the parenting family community that we're starting. Lots of stuff about how to be emotionally supportive to ourselves. So the client-centered therapies, the emotionally focused therapies. There's I don't know if you're not familiar with the names of it, but you'll see that the therapy is mostly about how we feel and about releasing those feelings and comforting our feelings and healing those feelings. Then there's lots of what we call combination therapies, which have a little bit of cognitive stuff, a little bit of emotional stuff, some emotional regulation stuff, mindfulness stuff all put together. Therapies like ACT, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction. There's various kinds of things. And then there's therapies that go through the body. What happens when you hear that the principal is going to need to see you again? Okay, uh, you know, how does that affect you? Does your head start hurting, and you're sick, and you feel like vomiting, and you can't get out of bed, and you're laid low, and um, you're getting palpitations, and you're sweating, and you're dizzy, and all this stuff? There's reasons that there are therapies that really go through the body door, like somatic experiencing, or SE, the EMDRs that go through mind body, the tapping therapies, EFT, and a whole so many more, Hakomi, whatever it is. There's just a lot of different kinds of mind body therapies. Now, we ourselves can learn a little bit of each of these, the main tools from each of those therapies. And we will learn them as we're spending many years together following this course. And then we'll be very self-healing, in which case your husband's point that it's up to you to know how to cope will be true. That is, it'll be that your kid needs your help, and you'll be able to be a great mother supporting a difficult child through his developmental challenges, and you will not be collapsing in the process. You'll be having a good time doing it, patting yourself on the back, going like, you know what, somebody else would, be crushed under this, or somebody else might kill the kid under this, or, whatever. Like, I know what to do, and I'm there for him. And I'm going out for dinner after. We can get to those places. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you so much. I just want to go ahead and welcome Udi, welcome Gila, and welcome Chava. We're so excited to continue to see people joining. Please come on back and let me know you're in so I can welcome you as well. Sarah Chana, we had a question. How can I improve my chronic negativity and pessimism? I don't feel like being negative. I don't want to be, but I find myself like that all the time.
I mean, the first step is noticing. So good. Okay, you've noticed. And then intervening. Chronic negativity and pessimism is, I'm imagining, thinking the first thought that comes into your mind whenever there's room is going to be a negative kind of a thought. It will be difficult. This won't be satisfying. This won't work out so well. Things like that. These people are unpleasant. This thing isn't good enough. I never look good enough. I don't. People don't like me. Whatever. Just a series of awful stuff. And what we. How we get into that eventually is like it's what I called earlier a thought habit that can be changed. It's not necessarily, it depends where it comes from, like how much work we need to do to change it. Because but let's say superficially at the beginning, the basic skills of changing our thought patterns means becoming aware of it and immediately rewiring. Okay, so every time we redo it, like we say it again, think of it as adding another wire to your neural pathway. So, oh, this won't be fun, or this will be, I won't have anybody to talk to there, or I won't have fun there. So as you say that, you're adding a wire to the neural network in your brain for the negative thinking. So you did add one wire, but you're listening to yourself and going, okay, I'm going to now build another network, okay, which will open up a possibility. I'm not saying I will have fun, I don't know, but I'm going to say at least, who knows, maybe it will be okay. Now, I prefer saying maybe it will be okay to saying something like, maybe it won't be so bad, because the word bad with this little chemical package has got a negative chemical package. So I'd rather say maybe it will be okay. Maybe it will be half decent. Maybe I'll find something to do. Maybe I'll enjoy it a little. Okay, I don't have to be ridiculous and say, you know what, I'm sure I'll have a great time there. Like if that's not your style yet, we can always take the baby steps. But those first baby steps are forced. And again, that's the healing part of you saying, here's your medicine, okay? We have to do some rewiring. We will force you to try this thought on, and then to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Now, this is not a full program, what I'm telling you here, but this is the beginning of a full program, and we will elaborate in depth in the upcoming course on how to do rewiring, because it is an important, very essential part of lifting our mood. We cannot live with this racket inside our brain that is like doom and gloom. Okay, just how on earth would we feel with somebody saying these horrible things all the time? So we're going to have to do some rewiring, and we will go more into it in the upcoming course.
Great, thank you so much. Welcome to Razy. It's wonderful to have you. Welcome to Shirley and Yehudit. Excellent. Please continue to come on back and let me know. It's so nice to see our community growing and growing. And we do still have some time for a few more questions, so I'm going to get to some of those as well. I have a hard time figuring out where my bad mood is coming from. I tend to block out painful things from my mind to the extent that I don't even remember them until I'm reminded. I can lift my mood by engaging in self-care, but I wonder if it's unhealthy to have all that pain lodged in my self-conscious. Should I focus on accessing it, or is it okay to keep it filed away?
If you know that there's actual pain there, like what you're saying is you know something happened, you block it out, and then when somebody reminds you, you go, oh yeah. So I think what you are saying is there is material there, okay? Because remember I said that earlier that it is possible to have low mood when there's no material, no psychological material. It's just like a chemical thing going on in your body. But you're saying, no, you know yourself, there is something there, but your coping mechanism is a form of what we might call dissociation, which is like you've separated it out of your consciousness, you've moved it to the side, you've locked it behind a door. In that case, I would suggest that you get more adept at learning how to open that door. This will actually be another component of the upcoming 7-week course. Is it 7 weeks, Jillian? Did I say 6 or 7 weeks?
Sure is.
Okay, 7 weeks. So we're going to look at how to get behind those doors to find what is actually sitting there. And that is a skill. And once you learn the skill, it's yours for the rest of your life, and you can always do it. But in terms of should I do it? Yes, you should do it. Because things that sit in there, they become physical illnesses later, bad news happens. I would rather get them out. And they also take up space and require energy. So they're taxing on the system when we feel them as being some form of baggage. They're heavy, they're in our way, they're getting triggered at different times. They're not like unimportant. They are in our system and weighing us down, even if we're not aware of what they are. When you get rid of them, people go like, wow, I feel 1,000 times lighter, okay? And they didn't necessarily know even what they had. So yes, we're going to be exploring that too, because I like to go in through all the different doors and see of the therapeutic approaches, let's say, to garner what we can to help ourselves. Even if we have more techniques than we need, all of us will find 1 or 2 techniques that we will then use forever. Okay, so even though we explore a lot, you may not use all of them on a regular basis, but you will find your favorites and use your favorites over and over. That's how it'll be.
Great, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
As we are getting close to the end here, I do see I have a couple more questions that we will be able to get to. But before we do close up in just a little bit, I want to please again remind you that if you're having any trouble registering, we won't be able to see your contact details. So please put your name and phone number in if you'd still need some help getting your spot in our Mastering Your Moods course that is starting next Thursday, June 7th. And as I mentioned, the 24-hour introductory discount that you get for being here today will also be gone tomorrow. So please make sure to go to www.jewishworkshops.com/moods. I have it right there in your chat box one more time. And let me get to these last couple of questions that we have time for today. I urge you, if you continue to have questions, of course, please join us. Sarah Chana will be going through 7 full weeks of amazing classes that we went through, and in each of those classes you'll still have time to get some of your personal questions answered. Plus, that 7th week is a full Q&A where Sarah Chana will just spend time answering your questions and helping you implement all of the important tools that she's going to be going over in the course. Okay, so we've got this question. I am not the type of person that gets angry except at my kids. I find that I yell at them more than I would like to. I keep saying I'm going to be more in control, but then I'm provoked or stressed, or there just is too much going on and I end up yelling at them. How can I be more in control of myself?
Well, first, I hope you'll join our ongoing 20-year parenting community, whatever it is, because you'll be, in the end, very in control of yourself. That's such a complicated, big question. It really depends where the yelling comes from, but mostly I understand it does come from having children, because that's what happens to all of us. We're very nice people. We've never raised our voices in our lives, and all of a sudden we're banshee women, screaming at our children. We get impatient. We need skills that will prevent that. Not just mood skills, but actual parenting skills that can really help us be effective without having to use yelling. We find accidentally that we are reinforced for yelling, because when we finally do open our mouths, then the children move. And the effect on our brain of that is that there's a little circuit that's formed that goes like, I want these kids to do what they're told. So now the way to get that to happen is to raise my voice, to become, unpleasant, completely unpleasant. So we have to break that circuit, and the children can't break it for us, because that's when they listen, right? They're reinforcing that circuit. And when we don't like the sound of it, and we understand the harm behind it for ourselves, for them, for the relationship, for everything, we are going to have to break that circuit. And there are specific parenting techniques. If you read my little slide, if you're signing up for one of these things, you'll get the Better Behavior Now book, which will give you a completely different way to gain the cooperation of your child in the completely positive, no stress. It's not even low stress. It's like no stress way to get that accomplished, and you'll see miraculous results. So, I urge you to look there. And let me just think for one other thing here. In terms of a quick answer, because it's not necessarily coming from your mood, is what I'm thinking. Okay, now, especially if you're otherwise happy, I think it may, when we learn the skills, we feel better. It will enhance our mood, because yelling is probably more lowering your mood than being caused by your mood. If you were having yelling that was caused by mood rather than by parenting, then you would be irritable more across the board. You'd be snapping at your husband too. You'd be feeling grumpy all around. So then we know that yelling is mood related. But when we're okay, as long as the kids aren't home, and then they come home and then we start yelling, it's more parenting related, and we need the specific set of skills for that. Also, Jillian, is it okay if I mention my daily parenting post to all these people, or
Sure.
like to invite them, right? So I have something that goes out through email called Daily Parenting Posts, which gives us a little 2 or 3 line parenting support. And if for anybody here, please join and let your communities know too. We go to Daily Parenting Posts, that has an S on it, .com, and there's a sign up page there. We just need your email, and then 4 mornings a week, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 a.m. before you start your day, you'll get a little bit of a strategy, a thought, a bit of encouragement and help to help you focus and stay on track to your big picture parenting goals. It does include a little bit of stress management and marriage tools there as well. So please, anybody who's not yet receiving that, receive it and tell your communities about it as well.
Thank you so much. And we actually do have some people in the chat box saying that those parenting posts are amazing. And we've had some really wonderful feedback, people who have joined your courses in the past as well, who are saying that you've really changed the way that they've been parenting. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for everyone who's sharing those nice comments. That's great to hear.
Yes.
We love seeing people who have been in our courses before, who have joined in the past. Please continue to send in comments. We love hearing from you as well. I did have a request to go back and show the slides on the class titles. So let me go ahead and do that. And I would also, it actually might be easier if I do it this way. Let me go ahead and just show you exactly how you're going to get to the jewishworkshops.com/moods. When you go to this page, people are still having a little bit of difficulties. You can just put the URL right into another browser and you get to the page. On this page, you're going to see all of the information that I just shared with you today. So you'll see the two options, your basic membership and your platinum membership, and everything that's included in both of those. And then of course you can go ahead and click to register whichever one you'd like. If you continue to scroll down, you'll see all of the classes, week 1 through week 7, what each of one is titled, what each one is about. You'll be able to see the dates and times. And then of course, remember, if you can't make it to those live classes, you'll have your recordings available to you in your own personal membership area. Plus all of the different bonuses, exactly what those are about. If you're just scrolling down, you'll see all of this information, including that mega bonus for the 4 months in Sarah Chana's ongoing family circle. And then, as I mentioned, just continue scrolling down until you can see this again, the basic and the platinum options right here. And when you click to register, you'll get immediately redirected to this order form where you just fill out your information, and right here are your payment plan options. You can pick the one that best fits your needs. You can do a single payment and all up front, or you can break up the payments. And when you click to break up the payments, it'll actually give you a schedule of the payments, how much you're going to pay today, how much you'll pay the month following. So you can mark that down as well. It's really, we tried to make it as simple and user-friendly as possible. But just remember, when you're here, this will also give you all the information. So I see a couple people mentioning that they'd like to talk it over with their spouse. Please just, jot down jewishworkshops.com/moods, and you'll be able to show this to them as well, so you can discuss the entire package. Plus, don't worry, you'll get some reminder emails too to help you with all of the information, and we'll get that out to you as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's see, we've got time for, I think, one more question here. Let me see where that one just went. We had a question come in. How can you deal with an abusive family member? How can you make sure that your self-worth is not contingent on your environment?
There are, definitely challenges in life that are serious, difficult, and whatever, and we're going to be affected by them. We're not usually tied moment by moment to any of those situations. So, for example, a person might have an abusive family member, they might have an ill child, they might have serious financial problems. Like, those are the big picture hardships in their life. And of course, they affect us. Resiliency means, though, that we're able to deal with those challenges pretty effectively, and we're also able to hold on to our sense of self through them, meaning even there are people, hard as this might sound, you have a serious, condition going on with your child, and yet you're out having some moments of fun, some moments of creativity, some moments of accomplishment, even though you have an unwell child. Now, if you don't believe that you're allowed to, then of course you won't, and your mood will suffer tremendously, and even your ability to care for the child would eventually suffer tremendously. So mood management, when we have extreme stress, is even more important, because some people depend on us, and we have to be able to rise to the occasion. Now, in the situation where we have an abusive partner, we're not with that partner 24/7 usually, and therefore we have times to restore and refresh and to heal and to get back into the fray. And then we need skills. We need skills for dealing with people who are extremely difficult. Some people have, some partners have mental illnesses that cause them to be difficult, or personality disorders, or whatever it is. And there are actually ways that we can survive. Okay, we're going to be happy with them, not necessarily so happy, but I'm not talking about physical abuse, of course. If you're at risk for being hurt or something, you've got to get out of there. But we're talking about insults, negativity, harshness, emotional, verbal, awful stuff. There are ways to deal with that, which I can't answer here. But again, in the ongoing community, if you join us for that, which you don't have to take the mood course in order to join us for the ongoing community. You can just, isn't that right, Jillian? You can just join the ongoing community, which will start
That is
after the
correct.
mood course.
That's
Yes, okay,
absolutely
so,
correct. Please just
right.
put your name and your telephone number in, or send us an email, and we'd be happy to help you with that.
That's right. So we will eventually cover all of those things and have overall the best life we can, even though we all have very difficult things at times, and some of us have more difficult things and more chronic situations, and therefore, those of us who are dealing with that have to have much more skill. Okay, we have to be really super advanced in order to negotiate this, but we can be. There's actually ways to be helped. So I hope that you will, you know, perhaps learn with me, some of the things that we can do. I can't really say much more here that's practical. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go ahead and just welcome our another member, Yehudi, to welcome. I just saw that you wrote your in. That's exciting. It's wonderful to have you. And I did just see a really great question. So this is going to be the last one. And then please hold your questions till we start next Thursday. We will have plenty of time to go through all of those. I do want to go ahead and just get to this one. BT had written in, and I don't want to miss out on her question. How do I intervene to help my child when their coping skills are not adequate, while at the same time not reinforcing the behavior of quote unquote not being able to cope? And she just followed it up with this child is away at school. So helping long distance oftentimes, falls short, but without bringing them home and again, trying to avoid reinforcing this behavior by just bringing them home, how can we help them with their coping skills?
Again, this is the parenting community realm, really. But in terms of, because there's so much in that question, and so much I don't know also. And when I hear that question, I don't know exactly what you mean. Is the child has poor coping skills? That could mean the child is suffering from an eating disorder, is acting aggressively at school, is falling into depression and not functioning. Like I'm, this what you mean, but I don't. So it really requires, quite the interview for me to find it out. But I'll make some general comments that, of course, long distance, um, you know, is difficult, and you're suggesting that if the child acts out and you keep bringing the child home, that would actually reinforce the child for acting out, and that is quite possibly true. Okay, like there, if the child needs to be brought home for some reason, again, I don't know what's going on. It would need to be that there was no reinforcement within that setting. So the child comes home but is not permitted to do the things that would make it good for him to be at home, let's say, or is at home for a day and then, sent somewhere else, like so that he's not really at home. Like, I don't know if the child is being asked to leave the place where he's at or not, or has to leave. But if the child can stay where the child is, then you don't want to reinforce the behavior by providing comfort, love, and security when the child has done the wrong thing. On the contrary, you want to provide that comfort, love, and security when the child has done the right thing. So if the child does want to come home, that can actually be a reward put in place for making it through a certain period of time, doing the right thing. If you look at my ebook, Better Behavior Now, you will see a whole different way of thinking about the problem behavior and helping the child to get out of the dysfunctional state and into the functional one. And it's a workbook, that book. It really will help you go through like what is going on here and what do I need to do exactly step by step. So I think that I would recommend that to you, quite honestly. And again, you don't have to sign up for the courses necessarily to get that book. If you're not able to, you'll find that book on the shopping page at dailyparentingpost.com, if that's if you want to just get it there. So, but anyways, it's a complex question, and I hope that we just got you started thinking about it. We have to train the child and reinforce the child for what we want him to be doing, and not for what he's doing wrong.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And as we are getting ready to close up here, I have to mention one of our audience members just wrote in, I love Sarah Chana's style where she offers you tools to feel good inside yourself, and that goes out to those around you as well. So thank you, Sarah Chana. And thank you so much, SF, for sharing that. That was really nice.
Thank you, Liz.
So for everyone still here on the line with us, we've still got hundreds of people joining us right now. Sarah Chana, can you please just leave us with some closing words? If we've still got some people who haven't joined us yet, what is it that you'd like to close off with today?
Well, I'd just like to say that a prolonged good mood, really, a stronger, longer good mood means a good life, okay? Our mood is really tied to the quality of our living experience. And, we all have room to improve the length of time that we stay in a good space. And being in that space allows us to do everything that we can do with all the gifts that we've been granted and to really fulfill our purpose. I strongly feel that good mood is not a luxury, it's kind of a prerequisite to doing what we're here to do. So I do urge you to come explore it with me and to feel and do better and better and better in your life. There's nothing better than a good mood. Okay, that's my closing thought.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for everyone who joined us today. If you are still needing some help registering, please come right on back and put your name and your telephone number in to join. If you have questions about registering or joining the community, please come back and just put your name and telephone number in. I'll leave the webinar open for just a little bit longer. You won't hear any talking, but you'll be able to still put your information into that chat box, and we'll be on the chat box for just a few more minutes there. Thank you, Sarah Chana, for joining us. We always appreciate having you. And I can't wait to see everybody next Thursday, June 7th.
I hope to see you there. Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.